you have to get obsessed with things in life, aka Padders. Peter A. DeLuca here, the film buff. If it's the weekend, we do cartoons on the weekend. Why? Because it's all about waking up as a child. That's what I did. I woke up as a kid. I don't know if you ever woke up as a kid. But you get yourself a bowl of cereal. You try and do your chores real quick. And you hit those Saturday morning cartoons. And this, the Sunday morning syndicated cartoons that started a little bit later, that ended a little bit later. I think some of those locally here in New Jersey and Philadelphia would run until 12 o'clock. It's a time we don't have anymore, and that's what we do on this podcast. I'm not recreating, I'm not being nostalgic. I just think it's fun. I just think it's goofy. So with that, it's 1991. The Wizard of Oz has been adapted yet again for a 30-minute animated feature. Why are we even talking about this? Because we get obsessed with things, my AKA Padders. Let's
Quiet
go.
on the set.
Camera speed.
Sound production, take 1.
Action!
Yeah, Wicked triggered a lot. So Wicked for me, and welcome back, friends and family, to the greatest critic podcast of all time. We do a lot of good stuff here, guys. I am proud of the AKAPAD army, and we, like she said, is growing. We're growing. Wicked was a domino. So, I was just prepping some ideas for Wicked, meaning I'm eventually going to see this movie. I'm going to see this movie relatively quick when it becomes available on digital, when I couldn't make it into the theater. That always seems to happen now. The AK Padders, I was just trying to see Den of Thieves 2 Pantera. Went back and forth for 2 weeks, and then eventually just had to give up on it. So I'm researching everything around Wicked, and I go into the Wizard of Oz franchise, and my head spins beyond. It's more than spins; it just bleeds. It bleeds with frustration to where, how come I didn't realize that the Wizard of Oz had silent films, foreign silent films that go all the way back to the early 1900s, almost to the birth of film. We get Wizard of Oz adaptations. Everything that we got in 1939 was a culmination of other versions and other stage plays. Some with the direct involvement of creator and writer L. Frank Baum. This is a franchise that has whittled itself to perfection. So we get this 1939 movie. And here's the wild thing. Within the movie, we may have 30 minutes of memorable scenes, like things that we just want to watch. It's not the music, it's not this, it's not that. What's the flow of the story? The 1939 feature is well documented of being a hectic, wild, crazy production that somehow became great. It was like the film that never died. But if we were to take those best moments and cobble it together and spit it out, we would get this 30-minute animated feature that I'm sure is available in DVD dollar bins all over the world. The DVD of this cartoon is worthless. The cartoon itself, I think I watched it on Tubi. Thank you, Tubi. Tubi. Go download it. It's a free app. We do a lot of movies from Tubi. Because this animated feature, you can argue the character design is not there, even though I love the Scarecrow character design, and I always like Tin Man, because everyone puts a good spin on Tin. We get this boiled down version of that 1939 movie. We don't have ruby slippers. We have silver or glass slippers, as she had in the book, as Dorothy had in the book. We get our spin on Toto, because everyone does their own little Toto. I think this one's like a beagle. We get the flying monkeys. We get both witches. We get the journey to Oz. They get involved with the wizard pretty early, like halfway through. They're talking to the wizard. It's not until the end, and I love the wizard at the end of this movie. What a wonderful design. But it's not the best animation. That's the point I'm getting at. But when we look at the flow of the story, we have to sometimes see what other people do with the material to really understand the high points of a franchise like this. Watching this helps us understand the James Franco movie, helps us understand Return to Oz, helps us understand Wicked. We see the absolute mastery and luck of that original movie. This is a franchise that everyone touched, it seems like. Everyone that can tell a story wants to tell a Wizard of Oz story. Isn't that amazing? But AKAPADers, I know this one's going to be a little short, but I also feel like, with the growth of this podcast and my deeper connection with all of you, I know a lot of you guys trust me in what I say. This is worth your time. This is worth your attention on the sheer fact of if you want to understand how to boil down the story even more to where it's already boiled down to its perfection, which is that 1939 movie. If we want the highlights, if we just want to move through the chains or move through the reins, we can watch this movie. I was totally shocked that they got to the Emerald City so early. At the end of the movie, we get a different return. Dorothy goes to the Flying Monkeys. Can you fly me back to Kansas? Oz is surrounded by desert. So they go back to the Good Witch, and the Good Witch tells Dorothy how to get back home. And it's kind of cool because we don't get these long goodbyes. Like Dorothy's like, oh, I just smack my feet, I get home, and they're like, yeah, and then boom, she's gone, and it's no goodbyes, which again is a big moment in that original movie. I like seeing deviations from that, but a lot of this too is when you start watching a lot of animation, your brain goes into what the process of the animation was, like what really is happening with the animation. Why does it look different? Why does it look like this? And why does it look like that? And it's, to make cheap animation, you have to cut the process, meaning you don't do pencil tests, or you might do limited storyboards, or you might be animating as quickly as possible. So, all those things are clear on this, but I don't think it's worthy to bash it because, again, we're talking about a 1991 animated feature that had the clear intent to potentially be a pilot, right? I would think this is a pilot. It's a long pilot, but it's ambitious. So, alright, AKAPADers, try and find it. It's on Tubi. Just search 1991 Wizard of Oz. Let's go.
Okay, that's a wrap.